So Shana Tova to you. Hope you had a wonderful Rosh Hashanah. And we're now in the Jewish New Year 5776. And of course, major changes already happened here in Australia. We have a new Prime Minister, Mr. Malcolm Turnbull, and we wish Tony Abbott best of luck in his endeavours. And you know, politics is a vicious game, I guess. But I thought it was interesting looking at this experience of the change of leadership, because the portion we read now coming up, this week's parasha, Parashat Vayelech, Moses, now he's coming to the end of his life. He says, I've reached the end of my days. I'm 120 years old. And he now hands over the mantle of leadership to Joshua, to Yeshua, to take over as the leader of the Jewish people. But in doing so, one of the things that he does is he writes himself a Torah, and he gives it to the Levites, the Levim, to safeguard in the Ark of the Covenant. And I think perhaps containing that is a message about leadership, what Moses was perhaps signaling and teaching to Joshua as he now takes the mantle of leadership. And that is, when you're in the position of leadership, you've got to recognize often that, or all the time for that matter, that you represent something that is higher than yourself. And unfortunately, often what happens to people when they get into a position of power is they start to forget that they're actually representing those that they lead, and start in a sense to represent themselves and worried about their reputation, what's good for them, and not necessarily what's good for the people. So I guess perhaps we can give Mr. Turnbull our best wishes, and perhaps he can take a message from our parasha this week to always recognize that he represents our country, he represents the people, and hopefully he'll serve in good faith and bring good to the people of Australia. Hopefully we can spread that to the people across the world and merit to have a very good and healthy year, as I wished you before. And hope to see you next week. Shabbat Shalom, and see you next week.